What if my passkey doesn't work or I lose the device it's on? Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I've been getting a lot over the last 12 months. So, if I get a passkey and it doesn't work, what happens then? How can I change it? Or can I change it? A common variation of the question, of course, is what if I lose the device on which my passkey is stored? Passkeys are easy to use and unfortunately complicated to explain. Fortunately, this question has a fairly straightforward answer. Just start over. Now, in the beginning, you had no passkey for whatever account we're talking about. You signed in some other way. That way was probably more inconvenient. You may have signed in using a password, and accounts that don't use passwords, which are becoming more common, don't have that option, of course. So you may have signed in by responding to an email or a text message or something else. Somewhere along the line, you added a passkey for this device. I'll call it Computer 1. You may have been offered the option to create a passkey, or you explicitly visited the security and sign-on settings for that account to add one. After that, sign-ons on that device become a two-step process. You identify what account you're signing into, usually with its email address, and then you provide your face, your fingerprint, your PIN, or a physical security key to unlock the passkey that is stored on your device, which is then used to complete the authentication. Setting up a passkey on that device did not remove the other ways to sign in. It just added a faster, more secure approach. Let me walk through that so maybe it'll be a little bit clearer. Over here, we're at Outlook.com. And even though it says Microsoft.com, it's off to the marketing page for Outlook.com because I'm not signed in to Outlook.com. So we'll sign in. Now, it comes up with the usual sign-in screen. And indeed, it's offering me the option to use a passkey already on this machine for a different account. If I wanted to log in with that account, I would just click on that passkey. It may then require that I enter a PIN or validate some biometrics or something to prove that I am authorized to use the passkey. But once I've done that, it just logs in. It's a one-step deal. I want to use a different account. So what we're going to do is type in that different account email address. Now, they're going to send a code to a device I have. This account, this specific account, is passwordless. In other words, there is no password associated with this account. I have only other ways to confirm that I am who I say I am. In this case, we're going to send a notification to my mobile phone that has the Microsoft Authenticator app installed on it and is already associated with this account. We'll send the notification. I'll tap the number 46 in that notification and tap on Approve. And that's it. We're signed into the account. I have the option, like any account, to stay signed in so I don't have to repeat this process over and over again. But here we are. We've signed into the account successfully. Now, we're going to set up a passkey for this account. My Microsoft account. Down here with Security, the Security dashboard. Manage how I sign in. Now, you'll notice for this account, I actually have several options in addition to the sign-in notification. It has the option to email a code or text a code to my phone number or use a passkey. Yes, there is already a passkey associated with this account, but that passkey is associated with a different device. The device in this case is my 1Password account, which I do not have installed on this machine. What we're going to do is set up another passkey. face fingerprint, PIN, or security key is setting up a passkey. We want to save it. This will be saved to the Windows device. If you're using a password manager that also supports storing passkeys, you might have a different option here, but we're just going to save it to this device. We'll click on Continue. We'll do the Windows Hello thing that requires some level of authentication to, again, prove that you are authorized to do this. Windows Hello, well, that's not very descriptive. This passkey is stored on a machine that I call Norton VM Win 11 P02. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? This passkey can only be used on this device. And that, I think, is part of what's confusing about passkeys. By default, when you're not using a password manager to store them, each device has its own passkey. So when you lose a device that has a passkey, well, you've lost the device and the passkey you would have used only on that device. In other words, you haven't really lost anything that would affect your ability to sign in somewhere else. So what does this mean? What does this look like then when I want to sign in? Well, let's go ahead and sign out of Outlook. We go back to Outlook.com and we'll hit sign in again. This time, I have multiple passkeys available to me. I'll click on the one we just created. It requires Windows Hello. It confirms that I know my PIN or have my face or have my fingerprint in order to use the passkey. So someone can't just walk up to your machine and sign in using that passkey. They also have to know or do whatever else it is that Windows Hello would have you do. So we set up a passkey on this device. Well, by default, passkeys are unique to each device. So we've set up a passkey on this device, Computer 1. What happens when I now want to sign into that same account on another device, Computer 2? Well, we repeat the process. On that other device, we sign in using a password or by responding to an email or a text. Or in the case of the account we just used, we would be authenticating on the Authenticator app on my mobile phone. Then you can set up a passkey on that device. Once again, then sign-ons on that second device are now also a two-step process. Identify the account, unlock the passkey. If you have more devices, you simply repeat this passkey setup process on each. So passkeys don't really fail, but they can be revoked. Once you're signed in, most accounts will list the passkeys set up for it, usually in the security section of the account options. And they also give you the chance to revoke or disable passkeys associated with specific devices. Some accounts actually revoke or disable or have you log out of passkeys on all devices at once. You might do this if you've lost a device, for example. So let's say we revoke the passkey that's used for Computer 1. What happens when you try to sign into it again? You try another way. So we're going to go ahead and log out of this account, and then we're going to sign into it again. This passkey has been revoked. It's not going to work. You can see it says we couldn't use your device to verify your identity. That's because that passkey was revoked for my having logged into a different computer and revoking it. So if this computer, the one we're looking at, had been stolen, the passkey that's on it no longer works. What do? We'll go ahead and enter the ID for the account. Sign in with a security key. Now, I don't have one of those, so we'll cancel. Learn more about passkeys. Something went wrong when trying to sign in with a passkey. Indeed, it wasn't working. Sign in another way. Use your face, fingerprint, or security key. Well, we know that that's not working. Passkey isn't working. But here's the other way. We get to approve the sign-in once again using the mobile app. This time it's a slightly different number, but it's the same mobile app, And on that mobile app, I will tap on the 72 and approve, and we're in. Again, the passkey was revoked. It failed, if you will. But there's always another way in. And I think that's probably the most important takeaway here, is that if a passkey isn't present, or if the passkey fails to work, attempting to sign in will provide an option to sign in another way. That other way may be a password if your account has one. It may send you an email or a text message, or, as we've seen, it may ask you to verify using a linked app. This is exactly the same way you set up the passkey in the first place, which is why I say, when a passkey fails, for any reason, you just start over by signing in some other, less convenient way. Now, a common question at this point is, well, what's the point of passkeys if I can still sign in with a password? There are two, in my view. Passkeys are more secure than passwords, and passwords are going away. It's a slow process, but more and more accounts use no password at all. The account that I'm using here, I chose to make password free. There is no password. There's no password for hackers to steal. There's no password for phishers to intercept. You can't steal something that doesn't exist. However, if you don't have a password, then signing in often uses a more tedious process of waiting for confirmation emails or a text or doing whatever it is it instructs you to do, unless you have a passkey set up. Passkeys are more convenient. Rather than filling in a password or waiting for an email, you use your face or a fingerprint or a PIN or a hardware key. That unlocks whatever's needed to authenticate you, and you're done. Using a passkey may require just a single click after providing your account ID. As we've seen, each account requires setting up its own passkey on every device you own. But there's a way around this. Password managers can register themselves as passkey repositories. This means your passkey is stored securely in your password manager, just like passwords, instead of storing on your device. Using a password manager, you only need to set up an account's passkey once. Once a passkey has been created and stored in your password vault, it works on any device on which you have that password vault installed and accessible. The vault makes your passkeys available everywhere, just like passwords. You configure your password vault for how passkeys work just as you do for passwords. Depending on how you set it up, using a passkey might require that the vault is simply unlocked. Your passkey or password is immediately available. You provide your face, your fingerprint, a PIN, a hardware key each time before a passkey or password is available. Or you provide your vault master password before a passkey or a password is available. The settings you choose depend on the level of security you want for that device. For example, on my PC at home, it's enough that I unlocked my 1Password vault sometime earlier that day. I want more security on my phone, though, so I've set it to demand my face each time I access either passwords or passkeys. If you're not using them already, please consider using passkeys. Because they're difficult to understand, they do seem somewhat scary compared to the authentication methods you're familiar with. The reality is that security professionals, the people whose job it is to understand this stuff deeply, agree that passkeys are more secure than password authentication. And I agree. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/190493. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.